r/ask Reddit. Elder millennials. What stereotype aggravates you the most? The use of the term millennial to refer to the general young person. As a younger millennial, I hate PPL bringing up that I eat Tid Pods. Mom, PPL my age were out of college and in the working world by the time TikTok challenges were a thing. When people call teens and early 20s millennials, that was like 10-15 years ago. I've seen old people refer to Generation X members down to junior high students as millennials. It just means person under 50 who I don't like, apparently. I'm getting really tired of hearing about us lying around expecting handouts and not working, especially when it's a situation where the person saying it is standing in a room with a lot of millennials, all of whom have jobs, which is every single time I've heard this said in real life. Like, who here is lying around doing nothing? Who's your example? Oh, it's your neighbor's best friend's cousin's son. He doesn't have a job and lies on the couch all day. Okay. A lot of millennials I know have multiple jobs, including monetizing their hobbies, and still just barely getting by. When we are looked down upon for needing to use YouTube, etc., for learning tasks, for example, changing a tire, that our parents were taught by our grandparents but the former never took the time to teach us. Looking down on someone for anything that they haven't yet been taught but are trying to learn is just about the stupidest thing I've heard. It's not their fault that no one had taught them the thing yet, and they are going out of their way to teach themselves. What is wrong with that? You must go to college and get a degree. You don't want to be flipping burgers or changing the oil in some rich guy's car, does that? Incurs a lot of debt. These irresponsible millennials and their elitist liberal educations. If they'd been smart, they'd go to community college and transfer/go to trade school. They won't just take a job, any job to pay the bills. They could flip burgers. Why should we pay for their mistakes? I was talking about this with my dad the other day and he was like, we didn't force you to go to college. No, nobody straight up said I had to go to college. But they did spend an awful lot of time talking about how only duck-ups don't go to college and making sure that entry-level jobs required a degree. As an American, it's basically that we're inheriting a system that nobody trusts us to run. All the people who represent us are 2-3 times older than us. The older generations are refusing or unable to retire, which is preventing us from actually entering the job market. We currently have the most geriatric Congress in US history. The boomers refuse to concede power and continue to be elected as they still have sheer numbers on X, Y, and Z. That however will change by 2024 with a relatively even amount, and by 2028 most boomers will be too feeble or will have passed away to be able to make it to the polls. When someone makes mention of some challenge teenagers are doing like eating Tide Pods and people are like, ugh, millennials, no. Just because 4-5 people did something stupid and then the news decided to take it and run with it and make it sound way more widespread than it is, doesn't mean you get to generalize a whole generation. Secondly, millennials are practically the age of the parents of the TikTok generation. It's not a generic term for any young person doing something you don't like. The Tide Pod one makes me so angry. That people don't own a house because they're lazy. I have taken the time to explain the loss of buying power, stagnant wages, automation, contract employees, lack of job security, cost of living in other areas, etc. Play way more into it. I hate that millennials get pinned as being addicted to their phones, like, always behind a screen and not interacting with the real world. I for one try really hard to have good phone etiquette, and what I've noticed is, boomers can be really bad at this. Some of the older people in my office and family are the worst offenders when it comes to texting at the table or just checking out on social media. Every time my husband and I are at the airport we talk about this. Every boomer there is glued to their phone that weird way they look down at it but also up somehow tapping away at some mindless game. Often with the sound on. The sound on boomers kill me. Participation trophies. These were for our boomer parents, not for us. And now we are blamed by them for being entitled because we got them. Definitely, ducking hate the concept of participation trophies. I've gotten into a shouting match with an older guy over them before. I was 10, your generation was the one handing them out, dipshit. Like, minute, I am working from home. I'll get a call from my mom, hey, you are not working now. Go do something for me. Thanks. Working from home is why I shitter than going to real work. At least for me. I do fit the stereotype of hating talking on the phone. I work primarily at night. One of my jobs I generally get out at midnight. The other more like 4 AM. My mom acts like I don't have a job. The most ridiculous thing is she babysits my daughter overnight when I work. The stereotype that a lot of millennials are struggling with money because they're lazy and entitled is ridiculous. Look at the average wage versus the cost of rent, healthcare, and higher education now versus what it was a few decades ago. Boomers had it far easier than we did, but act like our generation's struggles just boil down to a lack of hard work. Also, the participation trophy meme, aside from being largely bullshit anyway, raises the question, whose generation was giving out the participation trophies? Why would you blame the kids who received them? Seriously, it's like, have you ever thought that the reason you gave us participation trophies was because you were too lazy to work with your kids when they failed at something? Being blamed for not buying things, like, millennials are killing X product line. Welp, the boomers who won't retire are clinging to the top level jobs. So we don't have the opportunities they did to move up and earn more money. So we have to be choosy about the things we spend our money on. Not to mention, most of us are trying to be mindful of our consumerism as a whole, not buying tons of stuff for the sake of having tons of stuff. The consumerism thing is tricky for them to understand. My in-laws are downsizing, and they keep asking if we want this. Decorative plates and candy dishes mostly, but also every single toy my husband ever had growing up. They get offended when, no, we don't want junk to keep in the garage. They also get offended if we accept a decorative plate with the intent of actually using it as a plate. We can't afford houses because apparently we spend too much on avocado toast. No, in the 80s and 90s houses were about 3 to 4 times the average annual income. Now it's close to 10. At least in my part of the world. I kinda laugh when boomers call us snowflakes when they seem like the bigger bunch of wimps in history. Anytime they get a taste of their own medicine they act like it's an assault on their freedom. Every generation has things they get offended about, but just disagree on what should be offensive. Case in point, an argument I, 33, had with my mom, 64. She was all mad because a children's library at an elementary school had removed a book which used the term Chinaman and included racist imagery in the illustrations. I claimed the book was offensive and not suitable for children, and she said my generation was too sensitive and easily offended. In the same conversation she got super offended because I used the word "uck." That I am lazy and entitled. 60 hours a week logging while middle class boomers take 2-hour lunch breaks and take a half day off for golf. And the middle class boomers are only working to get the rest of their pension, which you won't get because you're not grandfathered into the old retirement benefits. 1981 here. The stereotypes are amazing. Every time I hear an insult aimed at millennials I'm amazed and amused that anyone thought it was an insult. An entire demographic dedicated to making sure everyone is doing something they believe in, that we all get the support we need. And putting Applebee's out of business? I'm honored to be counted among them on a technicality. We are what the previous generation made us and we have been shaped by the world we were raised in and then we are attacked for who we've been perceived to become as a result. It's like getting angry at the puddle of milk because you threw the carton on the floor. I'll start. Avocado toast is the reason we won't be able to retire. An older person told me avocados are expensive. Healthcare is expensive. I'm choosing to spend a bit more on healthy food in the hope that I'll spend less overall by staying healthy. Also, the most expensive avocado I ever purchased was $1.79, which is 10 cents less than your checkout line 20-ounce Diet Coke. Furthermore, I shop discount stores like Aldi. Avocados are regularly on sale for 49 cents, while you're shopping at Publix with your retirement fund. Seriously. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.